Welcome to another edition of the Magnolia Masters Swim Easy Speed Pro Camp Swim Analysis. And this is with pro triathlete Tony Aguilera. And so what we're going to do is I'm just going to let the videos play. You guys can take a look at what we covered. And then we'll go in and we'll start breaking down his stroke and talk about what we were trying to focus on to get him a little bit faster, more efficient. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll just kind of rewind here back to the beginning. Take a quick look. So what we really want to think about here is, just the normal stuff. So how does the body position look? So, he's pretty decent. The head's not riding too high. The hips are a little bit low. The feet are a little bit low. So in general, it's about kind of like that would be the angle on the water. It's angled down a little bit. It's not the end of the world. If he gets this up a little bit higher and this up a little bit higher, he's going to be faster and more efficient. It's kind of, just that simple. And probably like same effort level, maybe for him, it's going to be in the 5 to 7 second range. The one thing I want you to look at that's kind of indicative, and again, remember, we're in the endless pool, so some of it is pushing down like that as the current goes over, but that's letting us know that, the core might not be as engaged or might not be as strong enough as it could be, or the legs aren't as connected, lower body isn't as connected to the core as it could be. So definitely areas where we can work on. And, for a lot of this, unless you're going to swim just a lot of yardage over and over and over and over and again, which triathletes, generally speaking, don't have the time for, the best place to work on that, to work on this connection, is you're going to hate it, but do kick sets and then also get in the weight room. That's how you're going to drive those connections together and build up the strength and conditioning you need to really have an effective, powerful, efficient stroke. What I want you to see is look at how kind of just floppy his arms look on the recovery. So what we want to think about with that is, anytime they look like they're a little bit disconnected, that's usually, again, a telltale sign that the core might not be as engaged as it could be. Okay, so here we can go through and we'll look at, he breathes and, we're at this angle right here. You can see kind of this angle right here with the body. Now, this is typical when you get that angled position in the water. So if you're like that, if there's your body, then your arm, your shoulder is more likely to stay out that way, which is going to put it where you're going to be pressing down on the water. And anytime you're pressing down on the water, that's going to raise up the head and shoulders and make the legs and feet more likely to sink. Okay? So it does a number of things, and then it just perpetuates kind of this cycle. The other thing you do is, you can see right here, he's just pressing down. Doesn't really start pulling himself forward till right about there. So from there to there, So the length of this, it's not till probably right about there that he really starts pulling himself, actually getting to the point where he's pulling himself forward. You can see right there, hands starting to grab some water and catch. So all of this is all basically just wasted pull. So he could have set the catch right here, had the elbow a little bit higher, and started to pull himself forward. So he would have gotten that in extra pull instead of pressing down, pressing the head and shoulders up, and then feet and hips dropping. So that's one of the, the important things you want to realize about body position and about kind of this high elbow catch and why it's so important. Here, probably the chin could be up, just a little bit. Just bring that up just a little bit. That's going to help bring up the hips and the feet just a little. It'll also relax the neck, which is going to relax the shoulders. If we look on, let's see, this side, again, you can see kind of angle the shoulder like that. So again, we're pressing down and not pulling ourselves forward. So it looks like here through here, the arm's probably collapsing a little bit too much on this left side. We'll get a better view from the front underwater, but just from this angle, it looks, not the best. And there we go. And you can see right here, and we'll see this in the data when we go over it. You can see kind of how the hand is pressing out on this right side. So he's directing the water off, or the pull off to the side, not straight back, which isn't going to help him drive him forward. Here, kick looks decent. Okay, so here you go. You can see kind of there's those feet coming apart. We've got kind of that shape of the body. When what we really want is just this really, really, really long, straight kind of position in the water, that great alignment, which allows us then to really drive everything forward. And then you can see, he's having a little bit of issue that way. You can see the direction the spine is going. It's kind of that way. And then we've got, we've got this shape in the body here. So, we're creating a lot of extra, he's creating just a lot of extra frontal drag. And then also, the feet are coming apart again. So there's one, there's one, there's one. This is all just extra drag. And it looks like in this case, it's more, the drag that he's creating is more vertical than horizontal. But it doesn't really matter. It's just drag. And so that's one of the things that we want to, we want to get to the smallest possible profile that we can in the water and still be able to generate a lot of power. And then the next one here, you get to see from the front, you can see kind of, here it is. Here he's driving the hand forward. You can see the foot coming up in the back. That's all just to stabilize for a lot of the instability in the water that he's creating. So here is, there's the plane of the water. There's his arm off of it. So, we've talked about, you want to be at around, 30 to 40 degrees, something like that. So a little bit more relaxed on the recovery coming over. He's a little bit, a little bit kind of too opened up, which again creates a lot of instability. You can see right there, here's kind of the direction that that's going. Doesn't look like, he does a pretty good job of coming back and getting it forward. And then when he takes the breath on this side, we'll get a look at this one. So where he's on his side, you can see kind of the hand is way out here. So that would put midline. Well, I'll do it underwater. It'll be a little bit easier. But he's way, way outside of from where any of the leverage is on the stroke, and then creating a lot of instability. So he's just killing any momentum that he would get from when he pulls. And the one thing that you're going to see from the data with him is, he generates a good amount of power. It's just that, it's a lot of it's being killed in kind of the instability that's going on in the water. So here we go. You can see kind of, here's drag, there's drag. And then, here we are basically as he starts to pull. He's pretty far on his side. So there's midline. We're pretty far away. We want to be kind of somewhere between like here and here. This is kind of where all of the leverage on the water is going to be. It's not going to be, over here. Let's see what we got. So here we go. We can look at that arm that I said looked like it was collapsing a little bit on the left side. So you can see here's this. It's 105, I think. Let's see. Let's get a better look head on, maybe. Yeah. Okay. So that's 94. Typically, we want to be about 100 to 110. So he just need to open this up just a little bit, get a better feel for it. I mean, he's almost there. There's midline. So he's crossing over maybe a little bit. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt, maybe right there. So he's a little bit inside. If this just moved down a little bit more, maybe put his fingertips down towards the bottom, that would definitely help. And then you can see kind of on this side where he's given up all the leverage, 130. So, both of them, you could probably find a little bit more leverage. Here it looks a little bit better. It looks like it's the breath that's kind of throwing him off. And then we go to the data. Okay, so this was the first run of the data. And what you can see is, he's 40% propulsive, 43% downward, 2.7% in the hand drag, throwing a lot out to the right, or excuse me, left, throwing a lot out to the right, which is all stripping from this. And we want this to be as high as possible, kind of in that 65 to 75% range. This is what the average kind of amount of power that he's generating. That's 2.34 newtons. And then this one is 3.15 newtons. And you can see here's where he's directing the majority of the propulsion on the right, and here it is on the left. So you can see it's significantly less on the left than it is on the right, but both of them are going, off to the side. We'd really like to see this all going as straight back as possible. And what this is indicative of is just instability in the stroke, that there isn't enough stability in the stroke. He's constantly having to adjust for it to allow him to press that water straight back. Some of that's technique, some of it's strength and conditioning. It's always a combination of the two. And then we can look at, here it is broken down a little bit more. So you can see with the right, it's a little bit more propulsive. He's generating a good amount of power. There's a lot going out to the left. And that's kind of some of what I was pointing out in the previous video. So it's going out leftward here. So, and then here it is, he's got about an equal amount kind of going rightward on the left side. Propulsion is a little bit further down. A lot going kind of in a downward press, and then, significantly less propulsion than the other side. So here's kind of the imbalance, just a graphical representation of how much harder he's pulling on the left versus the right. So here's the first thing we did. We went to the position 11 drill just to get him driving everything forward. And look, you do this over and over again. We went through it, and we just kind of kept on cueing it and showing him where he needed to improve. And you can see he starts to get better. It all starts to kind of come in. And then here we go. We start to get it where it's a little bit more driving straight forward. Everything kind of starts coming in line a little bit more. So there's not as much. And then here was basically the first versus the last session that we did. So we did 2 total. And yeah, that was kind of what we covered in the session. And then here was the first run of the data, so that original that we saw, so 2.3, 3.1, 39% propulsive, and then throwing a good amount out into the side. And then here was the second session after we had done most of the camp. So you can see, went up about 3.5% in propulsion. This came up closer. This stayed about the same. And you can see that we're starting to track. It's starting to get a little bit more narrow, starting to basically get that straight line running down the middle of your body. That's going to allow you to drive the stroke forward. Because with the other one, you could see in some of the video that he was kind of going in and out like this. Well, the one thing you want to think about is if these are really, really imbalanced between the amount of propulsion you're generating on each side, left versus right, it's like being in a canoe. You pull harder, you paddle harder to one side, you're going to go in that direction. And we want to be able to swim as straight as possible, each side contributing equally, which will just allow us to be a lot more efficient. So, yeah, this is what we were able to accomplish in about 9 days, 10 days. So, 10% increase in propulsion with more of it really being driven straight back. So, basically an increase in stability too. So, an increase in efficiency. So, appreciate you guys tuning in. Always happy to answer any questions whatsoever. And yeah, I hope you go by and please like, subscribe, share. That helps us out a lot. And if you could do the same for Tony, drop him a line on his Instagram page, cheer him on this season. I know he would appreciate it, and so would I. So thanks again, and we will hopefully see you in the pool soon.